Welcome to the Faith and Fishing Podcast, where you get to hear all kinds of fishermen tell their stories and share their faith. I'm your host, Cam Steele. Hey y'all, welcome back to the Faith and Fishing Podcast. I'm your host, Cam, and you are listening to the 4th episode. This week we have another really awesome guest lined up for y'all. He's a tournament director, currently directing his 3rd charity tournament. He's an accomplished kayak tournament angler with 15 first-place finishes, 7 second-place finishes, 4 third-place finishes, and a host of top 10 finishes under his belt. He has sponsorships with some of the biggest names in the industry, holds the Indiana state record for spotted gar, and he's not even old enough to vote yet. Without further ado, Mr. Jaxton Orr. Jaxton, man, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much, Cam. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming on. And to start off with, why don't you go ahead, introduce yourself to our listeners, tell us a little bit about you, about K.A.T.C.H, and the current tournament that you're directing.
Yeah, so I'm Jaxton Orr, 17 years old, from Fort Wayne, Indiana. I've lived here all my life. Besides 2 years, I did move to Washington my 4th and 5th grade year to live with my mom. And I've been kayaking. This is my, this will be my 4th year on the kayak tournament scene. It's been an incredible journey so far, and it's continuing to get better and better. And like I said, I've been very blessed over my whole kayak fishing career, and all I want to do is give back to people. And by doing that, I really want to do it through fishing, which I love, and it's super easy to do. And the fishing community and kayak fishing community is so amazing. And so 2 years ago, Ron Champion influenced me as he was doing a charity tournament, and I saw that, and that's all I want to do. And it's growing each year, and it's been crazy.
Absolutely. And so the charity tournaments that you run, they're called the K.A.T.C.H tournaments. What does that stand for?
Yeah, so K.A.T.C.H is spelled K-A.T.C.H, and that stands for Kayak Anglers Together Can Help.
Absolutely. And so right now we are in the middle of a tournament that you were directing. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, so this tournament, I typically do my charity tournaments. In 2018, I did it in the first week of September, and then in 2019, I did it in the second week of September. And this one right here was kind of a response to the current situation we are in right now with the coronavirus going around the globe. And the kayak fishing and even the fishing community's response to this has been incredible. And I mean, I published the tournament 4 days before it started. And before it started, we had 110, 115 anglers, which was incredible. That's
awesome. And so the reason we are going to be bumping you up so early in the airing for this podcast episode is that there is still time, and whenever this airs, there is still going to be time to sign up. So how does someone sign up for that?
Yeah, so it's super simple. The tournament started on April 1st, 6 a.m. Central Time, and the tournament ends April 30th at 6 p.m. Central Time. But since this was such a late call to action, you have until April 28th at 9 p.m. Central Time to get signed up. And the way you can do that is just go on TourneyX, search up Jaxton Orr, and it will be the first tournament that pops up. And it's only $20 to enter the tournament, and that $20 will go to either an organization, a hospital, a family, or an individual that have been impacted by the coronavirus.
Okay, and how does the family or hospital or organization get picked?
Yeah, so for this tournament, the top 6 get to the money that they would receive for finishing in the top 6 is now theirs to choose any like I said, hospital, organization, etc., to where they want that money to go to. And so, for instance, first place gets to choose where 35% of the money goes to, and that's theirs to choose. If there's a family close to them that's been impacted by the coronavirus, but at the end of the day, the money's going to go to somewhere that has been impacted by the coronavirus and that's been affected.
All right, absolutely. And I will have you know that this is the first tournament I have participated in. And the weekend before it started, I wanted to practice putting fish on the board, measuring them, taking pictures, and all that good stuff. So I go out the weekend before it started and catch my PB.
Really?
Yes. So
how big was that one?
So it was 6.5 pounds, 21 1/4 inches. So it was a fatty.
That's a tank.
So it was like so bittersweet because it's like, this is awesome. I caught my personal best, but it's like, couldn't this have happened after the tournament started?
No, that's awesome. And no, I appreciate you signing up, and it's an honor to have you. And this is as your first tournament.
Absolutely, man. Well, it is hard not to be just wowed by all that you've accomplished at such a young age. What kind of challenges have you noticed your age brings about in all that you do?
I mean, it's for me, it's definitely the mental game and positivity. I put a lot of pressure on myself. I tend to do that, and I've been here recently within the past year. I've been really working on my mental game, not putting so much pressure on myself. And because at the end of the day, I've just learned it's fishing, and good or bad, at the end of the day, you can't change it. And it's just a blessing to even be able to get on the water. But I'd say definitely the mental game for me.
Okay, absolutely. Well, why don't we go ahead and get some backstory on you, and why don't you let us know how you got into fishing?
Yeah, so I've always been into fishing since I could remember, but to what I can remember of when I first got into fishing, I was in first or second grade, and I would always look forward to when my dad would pull in the driveway when he got home from work, and we'd go down to, we have 3 neighborhood ponds, and we'd go down and throw bagels or hot dogs out for catfish and bass, and I would just love doing that. I've been hooked ever since.
That's awesome. Well, man, let's get into it. This is like kind of the meat of the podcast here. In a nutshell, go ahead and tell us what it is that you believe in.
Yeah, so definitely at the end of the day, God's always there. He's always got our backs, and he's always looking over us. And for me, Christ is a huge thing in this fishing industry, and I would not be able to get through the good times and the bad times without him, and I wouldn't be here without him today. And a big thing for me, you can win your big tournaments, but also you're going to finish 124th, 130th, or whatever, and God's always there. That's the only thing that's so consistent and is always going to be consistent, and you always have him to lean on through those tough times and through those very, very high times.
Absolutely. So if you would, go ahead and tell us a story of how it is that you came to believe in God.
Yeah, so it was a couple years ago when my family, my mom and dad both lived in Fort Wayne, Indiana, when they were together, and then there was a divorce, and everything happened there. And my dad really found a way to connect with Christ and God, and went to church so much, and it really impacted me, and I know it impacted my family as a whole. And ever since that day, he introduced me into Christ, and I couldn't be more blessed. And it's just, I've been trying to really build reading more scripture and verses and everything, and it's just a growing experience for sure.
Absolutely. So what would you say that it means to you to have faith?
Yeah, it means everything to me. I wouldn't be able to do anything. I wouldn't be able to I wouldn't be able to even take a test at school. I wouldn't be able to believe in myself, believe in my family, and to just have faith. I mean, it not only gives us hope, but it has something that we can lean on, and something that we can do to think positive. And like I said, you're going to have those days where it just does not go your way at all, and your darkest days, but He's always there. And if you have faith, I mean, it just creates a tremendous relationship between you and God.
Absolutely. So, you mentioned leaning on Christ a lot. So, what kind of tips or tricks do you have to be able to do that? Because I know so many people who have so much trouble trusting God, and also just giving up the control enough to actually lean on Him. So, if you wouldn't mind kind of touching on that for us.
So, I mean, I guess I believe everything happens for a reason, and it definitely, for me, it's a growing experience, and it's also a learning experience for me, as I'm learning so much through, I mean, last year and this year, I really got into my faith. And for me, it's taking the baby steps, and it's taking one step at a time, and praying before tournaments, praying before meals, even praying during the good times. That's a huge thing that people don't think about. And for me, writing a Bible verse on my hand before every tournament is something that if I don't have that Bible verse written on my hand, I don't feel like, I just have that feeling in my stomach, like it's just not right. Like that's just me though. And so, I mean, just praying and talking to Him and trusting, and everything happens for a reason. That's the end of the day.
Absolutely. So we're going to start kind of transitioning back towards fishing a little bit here. Are there any specific times out on the water that have affected your faith in any way?
Yeah, so it's definitely those tournaments where you go into it, you have confidence, and your practice went very well, and then I go out there and I'm not catching anything for the first 4 hours, even first 5 hours, and you're like, what am I doing wrong? And that's the time where I just kind of lean back, take a minute, and just breathe, and just take my time, have faith, and just pray, and just keep a positive mindset. For me, faith is huge in fishing, and just keeping that positive mindset is everything.
Absolutely. So, this next question: what fishing story or memory means the most to you?
Yeah, so it was definitely last year. I believe it was during September. I could be wrong, but it was the Indiana Kayak Angler State Championship, and I practiced that tournament. It was on Nyona Lake and South Mud Lakes, and I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and that's only an hour and 10 from me. So I practiced there for probably 7 days, and I put in the time, I put in the work, and I had my spots where I caught fish in numbers and big ones, and I go there, I get my fish, but I just can't find the big ones. And this is one of those faith moments, 6 hours into the day, 6.5 hours into the day, actually. The tournament's 8 hours, and we have 2 lakes we could fish, and I started on South Mud Lakes, and I had a limit. I was in 4th place, and I was like, I need to just take some time to think and make a decision. And that's when I take my breather, I take my 1 minute breather, and just talk to Christ and figure out what is best and what I need to do, and be confident and follow through with that decision. And I switched to Nyona Lake and cold twice right when I got there. And then within literally the last 5 seconds, I catch a 17 and 3/4 and put it on the board, and I had, I think it was 1 second, or not even a second to spare, and that fish wouldn't have counted. And it led me to win the state championship, which was an incredible experience for sure.
Absolutely, that's awesome. I love the buzzer beater stories.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was probably one of the best feelings I've ever felt in my life.
I think that's the only buzzer beater story I've ever heard in fishing, though. That's awesome. All right, so whenever you're out fishing with someone, what is your typical conversation centered around?
Yeah, so when I usually, it's kind of weird, but I go out by myself a lot. I go out by myself a lot, but when I do go out with either my dad or my friends, there's not much conversation between us, because usually we're fishing or in a competition or something. But it's just general talk. We'll get into like plans and like memories and like this and that, but just general things probably.
All right, so this next question is going to be a little different. Typically I ask, what life advice do you wish you had been able to start off with? But you are just kind of starting off already. So in your life so far, is there a piece of advice that you wish you had gotten sooner?
Yeah, I definitely, for me, it would to keep a positive mindset. I used to, in my second year during competition, I got so down on myself when I did bad in a tournament or I didn't catch a limit, and I'd beat myself up, and I would just carry on to the next tournament until I do good again. And I just wish that I did receive the advice, but I just couldn't mentally change it like I have been lately. But I think that would be a huge factor, and just not put so much pressure on myself during these times. And at the end of the day, it's just fishing, and like I said, it's just a blessing to be on the water.
Absolutely. So, to flip that around a little bit, what fishing advice do you wish you had been able to start off with?
I would have definitely started off with having the right equipment at first, and keeping all of my stuff organized for sure, and just having I would get what I need. I would have everything that I would need, and I would have my own boat and electronics and everything. I never got electronics until 2 years ago, I think. So, but electronics definitely helped me, and I would just, during tournaments, I would just give myself the advice, or wish I had the advice, to just go out there and go fishing, and not worrying about other people, just worrying about me and the fish. So that's definitely the advice I'd give me.
Okay, absolutely. And you've got a lot of fishing left to do. So what fish sits at the top of your bucket list that you want to be able to catch?
Yeah, I definitely want to get a double-digit bass. I've been close before. I did not have a scale, but I've caught 8-pound bass before, and it was definitely over 8. I don't think it was 10, but I definitely want to get a double-digit bass.
Okay, absolutely. And is there a particular fishing spot that sits at the top of your bucket list you want to be able to fish on?
Yeah, I really want to go to Lake Fork. I've heard a lot of good things. I've seen a lot of good things during tournaments, and that's just been an overall dream lake for me. And I think that would be really cool to make a trip down there someday.
Awesome, absolutely. Well, we're going to move into a segment here. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's called What's Your Favorite? So I'm going to be asking you your favorite in a few different categories here.
Okay.
All right, so to start off with, you mentioned that for each tournament you write a scripture on your hand. Do you have a favorite scripture?
I do. It's Colossians 3:23-24. And that's it states it's a little longer, but it states, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is Christ that you are serving. And basically that means if you, and like for me, I guess as an example, if I go into a tournament, I have faith, I give it my all, I do good or bad, at the end of the day, Christ is always going to be there for us to lean on. He's always going to be our reward. And faith is truly amazing how it works, and how God is always there for us.
Absolutely. And so do you write the same scripture on your hand for every tournament?
I do. Yes, I do.
Awesome. And it's that one?
It is that one. Correct.
Awesome. All right. So do you have a favorite Bible story?
Favorite Bible story? In all honesty, definitely, I have not really, I've read the Bible a lot, but I'm not super familiar with the Bible, and that's something that I have a mentor this year, and like I said, it's been a definite learning experience and growing experience for me. But Mr. Thomas Cashin has been a mentor, and he's definitely walking me through the Bible and sending me different verses, and our next step is learning the different stories. So currently, I can't say I have a favorite story in the Bible, but I'm definitely going to invest in that and invest time in that, and eventually have a favorite story in the future.
All right. And so what's your favorite fish to catch?
Fish to catch, hands down, smallmouth. I love smallmouth. They're super aggressive, and it's just fun. You get a 14-incher and they fight like it's a 20-incher.
Right. Absolutely. And so what's your favorite fish to fish for?
To fish for? I definitely probably say muskie, because when I'm muskie fishing here around in Indiana, it's a super tough fish to catch, but when you just get that follow on the figure eight, or just when you're bringing your bait in, it's so rewarding, and it's so suspenseful seeing that big 40-inch fish coming up to the boat, or if you hook one, it's just super fun.
Absolutely. So I've never fished for muskie, but how awkward is it trying to do a figure eight in a kayak?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a Hobie Pro Angler 14, so it's not too bad. Like, Hobies are super stable. I'm able to get that figure eight pretty well. It's just hard with that longer rod, since you're in a kayak. You can't really extend it that far, but it's not too bad. I've hooked one on a figure eight before, but did not land it. But it's fun. It's super doable for sure.
Okay, absolutely. So, what's your favorite fish to eat?
Ooh, to eat, I probably definitely say bluegill. I just, it's basic, but I love bluegill. When we go ice fishing during the winter, we didn't have the opportunity to do that last winter because the ice was not good and the weather was not very consistent. But definitely bluegill. Love eating them after fresh straight out of the ice.
Okay, absolutely. And how do you like your bluegill cooked?
Yeah, just frying them and some just on the fry pan.
Absolutely.
And bread it.
They're called panfish for a reason. All right. So while we're on the subject of food, what's your favorite fish and snack?
Ooh, fish and snack. For me, I definitely say apple. You never go wrong with an apple on the water. I usually take 2 or 3 with me during tournament day. It fills me up a ton, and I just like apples, I guess. Okay,
absolutely. And I'm not going to ask for any GPS coordinates or anything, or any special spots, anything like that. But,
no, I'm open. I'm open.
What's your favorite body of water to fish on?
Yeah, favorite body of water, it has to be hands down Lake St. Clair. I love that body of water. I want to say it was June. Or maybe earlier than that, for the Hobie Bass Open Series event on Lake St. Clair. My dad and I were practicing for that event on the Canadian side, and I bet combined we caught 100 fish, and at least 50 of those fish between us was over 18 inches.
Okay.
And they were all smallmouth, which was insane.
Absolutely. And last but not least, what's your favorite time of year to fish?
Time of the year, I would definitely say probably the time we are in right now. But I guess that late spring, when the water temps are right around the 60s, maybe the 65 range here in Indiana. I like that pre-spawn, and right when they're getting up to spawn bite. I love when the fish are bulk, and I like when they hit moving baits. One of my favorite baits to throw is a vibrating jig, and that's my favorite time to do that.
All right. Well, we're going to start wrapping things up. Outside of this catch tournament, what's upcoming for you?
Yeah. So actually, this weekend I had the incredible opportunity to be invited to the Fish USA 5 Live event presented by Cash and Rods that Scott Butcher is hosting, and I'm really looking forward to that. I'm going against Dusty Yacker, Corey Dreyer, and Mel Ash. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's a stacked field right there,
and Matt Ball as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a very fun time. We're going to be live on Facebook, and it's going to be a learning experience for me, and I'm super excited.
For sure. All right. So do you have any sponsors or supporters you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, so I definitely want to thank St. Croix Rods, Dry Dock Marine Center, Hobie Fishing, and Hobie Kayaks. Couldn't do it without them. Cal Coast Fishing, Fishing Online. They've got everything you need, from soft plastics to accessories, etc. Trocar and Eagle Claw. Love their hooks. Picasso Lures. I love their vibrating jigs. When I was talking about vibrating jigs, I love using their tungsten knockers. Perfect vibrating jig for the spring. And ram mounts, Bayou Bug jigs, and tourney tag.
Okay. And if our listeners want to get in touch with you or follow you on social media, how do they find you?
Yes, they can find me on social media, on Instagram at Jaxton or Fishing, and on Facebook at Jaxton or Fishing.
All right. Well, Jaxton, thank you so much for coming on the show. Had a really fun time, and I hope you did too. And wish you all the best, man.
Yeah, thank you so much, Cam. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you inviting me on the show and talking with me. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I was looking forward to it.
Again, I want to thank Jaxton Orr for coming on the podcast and sharing his story with us. If you would like to sign up for Jaxton's COVID-19 charity tournament, download the Tourney X app and search for Jaxton Orr. It will be the first tournament to come up, and you can sign up from there. It's only $20 to sign up, so even if you can't fish the tournament, you're giving $20 to help a family, hospital, or organization in need during this crazy time. Thanks again for listening, and be sure to tune in next week for our interview with Josh Carter from the One Objective podcast. Thanks, and God bless. Thanks for listening to the Faith in Fishing podcast. If you like this episode, please give it a rating, a review, and make sure to subscribe on whatever app you're listening to so you never miss an episode. You can follow the podcast on social media at facebook.com/faithinfishingpodcast and Instagram at faithinfishingpod. Special thanks and a big shout out to Jonathan Infalancy for helping me write, play, and record the music for the show, and to Tyler Worrell, the graphic designer behind our amazing logo. If you have any questions about faith, I encourage you to contact a pastor in your community. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, get out there and catch some fish, and I will catch you on the next episode.